Hello, welcome back to Liferay. This is my third video for Liferay DXP demonstration, and in this video I'm going to go through the second part of content management system, and I will talk about asset publisher, search, and content permissioning. So I will start with the asset publisher, and if you remember from the first video, Asset Publisher is a tool that Liferay created so that admin user can allow part of the page to query our asset repository and show assets based on a certain condition. So as you can see here in my home page, I have added three asset publisher, and all of them have the same condition to show the same content, but the presentation or the display settings are different. So the first part show the content as boxes next to each other, the other one show boxes but in a different way, and the last one show them in a carousel. So as you can see, they're all the same content, but the presentation is different. So we're gonna go through this demo and see how I can add an asset publisher to a page and how I can configure it. And after we're doing this, we're gonna log in as a marketing person, and we're gonna try to add a new content, and we're gonna see that how that part of the page will dynamically show the new content without the need to edit anything. So I'll log in first as Bruno, and if you guys remember from the first video, Bruno is my super user. So he is the administrator and he has access to all the admin feature in Liferay. So to add an asset publisher to Liferay, you need to go to the add button on the right hand side, and under application you go to the asset publisher and you drag and drop this on your page. But since I already have one in my page, I'm just gonna remove this one now, and I will work with the one that I already created on the page. So you can add the asset this way, and then after you add it, you start configuring. So let me go through some details about the last news asset publisher that I have here. So I'm gonna go to the configuration tab, and here, as you can see, I configure a Liferay Asset Publisher to query our assets and show only web content. So it's not going to show any blogs, wiki, discussion, anything else. So I can query the asset to show any assets. But for here, the asset publisher to show any asset. But here I'm just gonna allow the asset publisher to show only web content. And under web content, I want to show only the web content that has the structure called news stories. In the previous video we talked about structure and content templates. So I have in my demo here a template that called news story, and basically any marketing person want to add a new news, he wants to go through this news story template. So here I'm just allowing the asset publisher to show only web content that has that using the content type news story. The other condition also I added, or actually it's not really a condition, it's the display settings. So if I went out here, I add a display setting. So I want to show my news as text and images to each other. So I have something called display template. So here I'm actually using a display template that I created. It's called last news story views, and it's gonna show as you guys see in a home page, in a front page. The last thing I have it how I can order the content on a page, and this is where I defined here. So in every content there is a field called priority. So in this priority you can give numbers from 0 to 100, and based on the priority and if it's ascending or descending, you can define how you can order your content or your asset on the asset publisher, right? So this is the first one I configured this way. Another one I have here is the last news as a publisher. And by the way, those two asset publisher, they show exactly the same content, but the presentation is different. And to show you this, when I go to the configuration tab, you can see this one is actually showing also web content, news story as a template, and also this is not having any sorting since it's just all gonna be shown on a map. But the display settings, instead of choosing the last news story views that I had in the other one, I'm just using map. So now inside the template, whenever I add a new news, I can relate this news to a location, and this map just show the news on a location. right? There is other minor features that I would like just to highlight it here. In any asset publisher, you can configure whenever someone click on the asset, if he can enable printing for this asset, enable that someone can flag it, enable to see related assets, rating, add comments or not. So for example, under mapping, if someone click on last news under map, he's not going to be able to add any comment. But on the other side here, if I click on configuration tab and I went back to the display settings, here you can see I enable users to add comments on news. Right? So as you can see here, for example, this is Liferay Teams Up news. I have it here somewhere, I guess. So not this one, not this one. Let me go here. Here we go. Here we go. So I have Liferay Teams Up news. So if I click on this news here, and also I click on this news on the other part, read more. So you can see here, this news has allowed the user to comment on it. The other news doesn't, because in my asset publisher, I prevent users from comment on assets, right? So this is how you can configure an asset publisher. The next step I would like to take you for is to go as a marketing person and try to add in last news, and we'll see how we can display this on a page. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go back to my home page and I will log out from Bruno. And now I'm going to log in as Richard. And if you remember, Richard is a marketing associate. So he actually has access to add new content to the pages. So he got a request that Liferay just released a new Liferay screens tool, and he got a request to add this in the last news and add more details about it in the last news. So what he's going to do, he's going to go to the content management repository, and he's going to go to the web content, and here under welcome page, he's going to go to news. And one thing here, just to show to you here, let me do that 1 second. Right, so as you can see here, Reacher doesn't have any permission to add new news, because under the folder here, the add button that they only have is just for subfolder. So let's do one extra step here, give Reacher the access to add a new news. So I'm gonna log on from another browser again as Bruno. So I'm logging here as Bruno. Right, and I'm gonna go to my content management repository, and I want to make sure that this folder is allowed to add news. Yes, so as you can see here, it allows to add a news story, but the problem is Reacher doesn't have access to this structure. So I need to go back to my web content, and I need to go to the structure tab, and I need to go to the news stories, and I need to edit the permission and make sure that marketing employee will be able to view this, and I click save. And now also I need to make the same thing on the template under this structure. So I'll go to manage templates, and I'll go to the permissions here and allow marketing employees to be able to view this. So as you can see here, sometime user can have an access to something and it didn't happen, so they can always contact the administrator, and the administrator can check the permission to make sure they can add it. So that's a good exercise to show you how that can work between an employee and administrator. So I'll go back to my pages here and just refresh these pages. So I'm going back to the welcome page again, news. And now as you can see here, when I click on the news, now I can see Bruno has an access to the news story, right? So I'm gonna click on the news story. So I'm gonna add a new news, and I'm gonna name my news to be Liferay Screens. And this is our new tool to build mobile apps for Android and iOS devices. So he's gonna add a news about it, and he's gonna go to the document repository. I have an image that I already uploaded there. I guess this is not here. Oh yeah, it's under news. Here you go. So I have this. I will add it, and now I need to add the same title here for the content. And I just have some text here. I'm gonna add it, so I'm just gonna copy paste some text. There we go. So abstract, and then I have the article. So I'm just gonna copy anything here for the article. All right. So I add my header, my article, and then the last thing I have in my template is that geolocation. So I can relate this content to any location I have here. So as an example here, I'm gonna just go add this news to be in California, right? So I added this news to be in California here, and now I'm ready to publish this. But before publishing this, I want to make sure that this priority is 0. And by doing this, I want to make sure this is going to be the top news I have, because I don't want it to be the second one or the third one. So the priority, since I configure my asset publisher to depend on the priority whenever they sort the content here, since I did it as an ascending here, I can add 0, and I make sure this is going to be the first news I have inside my home page. So just by doing this and I click publish, now if I went back to the home page, so I'm just going to open this in another page and just go back down. As you can see, now I can see the last news got published and inside here. And also on the map, I can still see also the last news and it get published here. So it's exactly the same news get published on 2 places, and now I can click read more and I can go through the news. So this is how I can add a news without touching this part. This part is dynamically configured to query the database to show this. I just want to make sure this is not for just content. It's also for any asset in Liferay. So I have another asset publisher here, but this asset publisher, as you can see, is not actually meant to get content. It means to get bookmarks. So it's only to show bookmarks on this page. And I have a filter here that I said this bookmarks need to be tagged as welcome bookmark to be able to show in that part of the page, right? So and then again, the last thing is the display settings that I use. I have a display settings called my links, so it show those bookmarks as links in the front page. Let's see how that works. So I believe Richard doesn't have access to the bookmark, so I'm gonna need to add a new book using Bruno. So I'm going to the other browser where I have Bruno already logged in. I'm going back to my site, and now I'm gonna go to the bookmarks, but before going there, I'm gonna take the URL of the download page, and I want to add on a front page bookmarks a link for the download page. So I'm gonna go here and I'm going to the bookmarks tab, and now I'm gonna add, I have a welcome page. I already created a folder for it, but what I will do here, I'm gonna add a new bookmark and I will name it download link. And now I'll add the URL here, and now I have the URL. I'm gonna click save. I'm gonna not add the tag here, because by not adding the tag, I don't fulfill all the requirement of this asset publisher. So if I went back here to the same page and just refresh, as you can see, the link is not displayed yet, because in my condition I add this link need to have the tag as welcome bookmark. So if I went back again to my bookmark page and I just edit this, and now I'm gonna go to the tag, and then I'm gonna write welcome bookmark, click save, and I'll go back to my home page, just refresh. Here, as you can see, now I have the bookmark got added, and now I have here a link to go to the download page. All right, last example I have here is inside my home page. So in my home page here, I also have a new three different asset publisher that let me go through one of the configuration of them. So those 3 asset publisher, they actually show only web content articles, and they show the content that has the template called publish news entry. So only the web content that has published news entries, and the ordering that I did is just by modified date, so descending by modified date. I'm not using priority here. And the last thing I have in the display part, I have three settings for display. So this one is using entry cart first item big. I have three other displays that I added here that I'm gonna use them as well. So this is the first one. The second one I have it here. It shows a different display. This is shows the entry list three items ADT, and the last one is just the carousel that I have it here. So it's exactly the same condition, but the display settings is different. Let's add a new content here and see how that would look like, right? So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go back to my content repository, and I have here the home folder, and I'm not sure if Reacher will have permission to add this content. Yes, so he has a permission here to add publish new entry. So I'm gonna click on this publish new entry, and inside my publish new entry I'm gonna add a new content that called Gartner event. So Liferay was part of the Gartner event booth, and we had some photos there. So I'm gonna just upload a new photos and just add it to the home page. So I'm gonna go through my document repository, and under Liferay images, I have an image for Liferay Gartner. Click add. So now I have this added, and now I'm gonna add this Liferay Gartner again. And now I'm just gonna fill the rest of the fields. Again, I'm just gonna take some contents here just to fill space. Okay, subtitle doesn't need to be that long, so I'm just gonna not add too much. And here I have the content. And just drag and drop, add this content here. And now this is, as you can see, this is what the template defined. It's just to add a title, image, title, and subtitle, content, and that's it. All right. Since I didn't define anything else like a tagging or anything, I don't need to do anything. Now, once I click publish to this and go to the home page, I'm supposed to see this content published, right? So let's see how that works. Right. So let's go back to the home page. I'm gonna go to the home page here, and now as you can see, now the image got published in the front page, so everyone can come and see this content, and here it's got published. It's just showing the first items I have here, right? And laughing, this is all responsive, so if I actually minimize my browser, as you can see, all responsive, or you can see on one page. So it's very responsive when you add any new content to the pages here. The last thing in Asset Publisher, I'll talk about it, is the comments. So anytime in Asset Publisher, I allow user to comment over an asset. So let's say, for example, here, you can read this content, you can come comments. So you have option to do rating, you can comment, and also in the comment, you can tag people. So if you have a permission to tag people, you can. So Richard can, for example, tag his manager. So he can say, Michelle, please read, or actually let's tag Bruno since we already logged as Bruno. So let's tag Bruno. All right, so please read this. And this comment section is very advanced, so you can actually use it as if you're using a Microsoft document. So I can come, for example, to please read this, and on my keyboard I'm gonna click on Control B and make it bold, or I can actually click on Control U and have an underline. So it has a lot of controls that you can do it as if you're using a Microsoft Documents. So just by tagging this and just click reply, actually Bruno got a notification. So if I just refresh the browser of Bruno, he got a notification that someone tagged him, and he can actually go through this tag and see what's going on. So he can click on this and he can view what reacher tagged him in, and they can communicate together over this. If you're not tagged and you want to still keep getting notification, you can simply click on subscribe to this comment. So by clicking on subscribe or unsubscribe, that's actually, even if you're not tagged, you're gonna still get notification and emails about what happening in this part. So you can subscribe to anything in Liferay. We're gonna talk more about subscription and how I can be in a mailing list in the last video where I'm going to talk about intranet, but just I want to give an introduction about this here. All right, so that's the first part of my video. The second part, I will talk about permissioning and search. All right, so I will start with search. So if I went back here to my Richard page, right, and I'm gonna log out from this browser. So let me just log out from Richard now. Go back again as an anonymous user. Right, so I'm back here to the page as an anonymous user. I'm gonna go to start using the search, but what I will do as well inside here, I will actually stay as Bruno because I will change some permissioning, and we're gonna see how even the permission are related with this with the search as well. So if you don't have a permission to view a content, you're not gonna have it inside your search, right? So first let's do the search. So I'm gonna search as news. So I want to see all the news. Click enter. And what Liferay does, it actually index every content and every asset in Liferay and show all the content that have the word news. So whatever you have, a PDF, document, content, bookmark, blog, wiki, any asset in Liferay has this word, even inside the text, even inside a PDF, you're gonna have it here. But since you may have a long result, Liferay offer you another feature. It's called facet search, where you can actually add facets to minimize your search results so you can easily find what you want easier. So I can add facet here. For example, I want everything that inside Liferay DXP sites. So once I click on this, this is what just show me all the news words inside the asset inside the site. Now here, as you can see, it show me another thing. It's telling me that this news word is inside the document repository, is inside web content articles, is inside folder. So for now, I know that there is a folder that called news. So I guess that's what I want. So I'm gonna click on that one. And here it's actually show me just one content inside that folder that has the word news, which I'm sorry, one folder that have the word news. So that's what I see here. If I went back to my search and just did it again as news, and instead of clicking on folder, I'm gonna click on tag. So I'm going to welcome news. So I have three news that have that tag. So now I can see the three news here. So Liferay launch digital experience, all of this news here, right? So what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna change the permission of one of this content and make it not visible for anonymous user, and we'll do the search again, right? So I'm going back to my search result. I'm going back to my admin console, and I'm gonna go to my content, web content, news, and inside the news I'm gonna remove the anonymous permissions from Liferay Launch Digital. So I'm going to Liferay Launch Digital Experience Platform, and I'll go to the permission tab, and what I will do here, I see the guest user, and I will remove the view permission from the guest user and the add discussion, so they can't even do collaboration or view this content. When I click save, now I'm going back to the previous browser and I'll do the search again. So I'm gonna go to the search, click enter. Now if I went back to my welcome news, I don't see anymore the other content because I don't have permission to view this content, right? So you can add permission, and the permission also works with the search engine so that both of them can show only the content that you have permission to. Another example for permissioning is if you guys remember the download page, let's say I just want to show that download chart for only manager. So I have Josh is a manager. Once he log in, he's the only one who can view the download chart, who can see how many downloads happen in different region. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go back to my as an admin user, Bruno, go back to my site, and here I will go to the download page, and inside the chart I'm gonna go to the permissions. And now what I will do, I will remove the view permission from the guest user, and also I will remove it from any person else other than, so site member, I'm going to remove it from anyone other than manager, right? So if you're not a manager, you're not going to be able to see that shorts. So I'm going to click save, close this browser, go back to my other browser. Now, since I'm anonymous, I should not view this anyway. So now I don't view it when I click on a download link. Let me log in with two users. So first I'm going to log in as Neil. Since Neil, he is just an employee, he cannot view the charts. So if I went back to the download page, I still don't see this chart. But if I log back here as Josh, he's a manager, and went back again to the download page, I now see the chart. So the last thing I would like also to talk about in this part, anytime Bruno changed something, he doesn't really need to ask the user to go check it, but he can actually go to the admin console, and he can go to the user tab, user and organizations, and he can impersonate that user to make sure it works correctly. So I can impersonate myself as Josh, and also I can impersonate myself as Neil. And by doing this, going back to the download page, I can actually view as Josh, he can view this, but if I am as Neil, I cannot view this. So I can build very complex permissioning system and add my permission, and I can test how this permission work for user. And as I was talking in the first video, this permission is really good whenever someone report a problem. I can impersonate myself as him to see how he what's the problem and try to fix it for him. Right, thank you for being till the end of this video. Please subscribe to my channel for other videos, and follow the rest of the videos. Thank you. Bye bye.